Think about the last time you really needed your dad. Not formally, not with a speech, with one word. The one you use when you're scared or hurt or completely out of options. Jesus used that word. He put it right at the start of the most prayed prayer in history, and almost everyone walks right past it. This isn't a grammar lesson. There are two words in the Lord's Prayer, the very first two, and when you actually understand what they meant to Jesus and the people he was talking to, you realize most of us have been praying it in the wrong posture our whole lives. Not the wrong words, the wrong posture. By the end of this, you're going to have a question, not about Jesus, about yourself. Matthew chapter 6. Jesus is in the middle of the Sermon on the Mount. He's already talked about anger, about lust, about fasting. Then he pivots to prayer. But he doesn't just teach it. He starts by describing what bad prayer looks like, and he's specific. He says, don't pray like the hypocrites. They love to stand in the synagogues on street corners to be seen. He says, they already have their reward. The applause is the answer. There's nothing left to come. Don't pray like the Gentiles either. They heap up empty phrases. They think God hears them because they use a lot of words. More words, more God. That was the assumption. Volume as a spiritual strategy. So Jesus is reacting against two things, performance and verbosity. The religious establishment of his day had the Amidah, sometimes called the 18 benedictions, a formal, structured prayer recited 3 times daily. It opened, Avenu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, beautiful, serious, but formal. The King was always in it. The distance was always built in. What Jesus gives them instead takes about 30 seconds to say out loud. That's it. From our Father to deliver us from evil, 30 seconds. He designed this to be short, intimate, and to start with 2 words that, in his world, were almost shocking. The first word, our, not my, not I, our. In most of Christian history, and honestly in most of modern Christianity, prayer is treated as private. A personal conversation. You and God. You pour out your heart, your fears, your needs. That's not wrong, but Jesus opens with a plural. Which means the moment you say this prayer, you are praying it as part of a people, not as an individual, as a community. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Who exactly is included in our? Everyone who can call God Father, your friends, your family, and the person you're not talking to right now, the person who hurt you. Your enemy is in the word our. Jesus wasn't being abstract. He'd already set this up in Matthew 5, verse 44, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. He didn't forget that when he got to chapter 6. He encoded it. You don't get a carve out in our. There's no asterisk. It's not our Father except for that one person. It's just our. The second word, Father. In Greek, the language Matthew was written in, its pater. But Jesus almost certainly wasn't speaking Greek. He was speaking Aramaic, and the word he would have used is the one that shows up 3 times in the New Testament. Mark 14:36, Romans 8:15, Galatians 4:6. The word is Abba. That word needs to be said plainly. Abba is what a small child calls their father. Not father, not sir. It's closer to Papa, Daddy. It's the word you use when you don't have time for formality, when you need him right now. No Jewish prayer before Jesus addressed God this way. Not one. The Amidah, the prayer every observant Jew said 3 times a day, opened with Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. The King was always there. The distance was built in. You approached God as a subject approaches a throne. Jesus dropped the throne. He kept the Father. Paul picks this up in Romans 8:15. He writes, "You did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you received the spirit of adoption, by whom we cry, Abba, Father." That word cry is doing something. It's not think. It's not formally address. It's cry out, desperate, unrehearsed. Paul is describing the prayer of someone who actually believes a father is listening. And the word he reaches for isn't Kyrios, Lord. It isn't Theos, God. It's Abba. And then there's this. Gethsemane, the night before Jesus dies. He goes to the garden and Mark 14:36 records what he actually prays. Not a public prayer, not a teaching moment, his private prayer in the worst moment of his life. And it starts, Abba, Father, all things are possible for you, remove this cup from me. In his worst moment, completely alone, betrayal hours away, he doesn't address God with authority or formality. He doesn't open with a title. He says Abba, and then he hands you that same word. There are 6 requests in the Lord's Prayer, 6 things you're asking for. 5 are unconditional: bread, the kingdom, deliverance, protection, his name. Only one has a condition attached. Verse 12, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. That word as is doing enormous work, and Jesus doesn't let you move on from it. The prayer ends, and then right there, verses 14 and 15, he stops. He explains only one part of what he just taught, not the bread, not the kingdom, just this: if you forgive others, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others, your Father will not forgive you. He underlines it twice. The prayer has a built-in mirror. Every time you say it, you're making a declaration about how you're living. You cannot hide from it. The grammar won't let you. So here's what Jesus actually gave you, not a ritual, a posture. The prayer starts with our, which means you cannot enter it alone, and you cannot enter it selfishly. You come in as part of a community. Even if you're sitting by yourself in a quiet room, even if no one else is there, you're still praying as us. And the first name you call God is the most intimate word a child has for their father. Not a king, not a judge, not the sovereign Lord of the universe, even though he is all of those things. A father, specifically the kind you run to when you're scared. Notice also what the prayer does before it asks for anything. It doesn't open with a request. It opens with a relationship. You are a child. He is a father. Everything else, the bread, the forgiveness, the deliverance, flows from that. Most prayers start with what you need. This one starts with who you are. You've probably said this prayer 1,000 times, maybe more. But the next time you pray it, try stopping right there, before anything else, before bread, before forgiveness. Our Father. Just sit with those 2 words. Let our remind you who else is in the room. Let Father remind you who you're actually talking to. I want to know which word hit you harder. Was it our, the realization that the prayer is communal, that your enemy is already inside it? Or was it Father, the intimacy, the Abba, the word Jesus used in his worst moment in Gethsemane? Drop it in the comments. One word, our Father. And if this gave you something to sit with, there are more videos right here. We go deep, but not complicated.